You join us live for the 1991 Italian Grand Prix here at Monza, the home of Ferrari, and now they are off the back of a win last time out for Jean Alesi, who was very, very impressive, leading home Ayrton Senna and Game in third place. Senna will need to continue his form, he said, if he's hoping to win or even get in the fight of this World Championship. I think Prost is ready for retirement. He looks ready. He's not been on top form this season. Gerhard Berger, however, will need to find the form from the start of the season if he is to make himself a two-time world champion. And Game says he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, make sure there's no issues, and he will hopefully leave Williams and join McLaren as a world champion. But we're about to get ready to go to the grid for the grid rundown for the Italian Grand Prix. You join us on the grid now for the Italian Grand Prix, and we're going to give you the starting grid, and it is as followed. Game starts on pole position ahead of Ayrton Senna in a great qualifying session, back and forth between these two. Berger with third place, looking to improve on his result from last time out. Alesi leads Prost in fourth, and Nigel Mansell down in sixth place. Cannot get used to this car, he says. He doesn't like it. Seventh is Nannini Patrese in eighth. Ninth is Michael Schumacher ahead of the Minardi of Morbidelli. Bertrand Gachot in the second. Jordan's down in 11th place with Mark Blundell in the Brabham. Pierluigi Martini is 13th with Brundle behind him in 14th. Capelli leads the Leighton House duo in 15th. 17th, Eric Comas with Thierry Boutsen behind him. Mika Hakkinen in 19th with Johnny Herbert just behind him. Cafe ahead of his teammate Alboreto in 21st and 22nd place. Well, we're getting ready for the start of this Grand Prix now. We lost out on the start last time, but starts have been an issue in this car. We know that. We're not expecting big things off the line, and it was a bit of a while to get going there. We are away, but Senna already passed. Is that going to mean Alesi's going to come with his Ferrari power straight up the inside? And he's already got the move done before we get to turn one. Berger all over the back of Game. The two championship rivals, you could argue, first and second in the standings as we speak, but Alesi from fourth to second in his team's home Grand Prix. Is Berger going to get a run on Games Williams as they head towards the second chicane in this circuit? Is Berger going to try? He's going to try around the outside, and Game covers him off absolutely fantastically, and that will not be the last of that battle today, I will assume. Lovely stuff. But there's a Jordan back there battling it out with a Ferrari of Alain Prost. What has happened there with Mansell behind him as well? Either a disappointing start for those two or a fantastic start for Bertrand Gachot. Let's have a look. Well, we'll take a look at Nigel Mansell's start. There's nothing to write home about. Again, the Williams is struggling massively, and an absolute rocket of a start for the Jordan car of Bertrand Gachot there, just coming straight past everyone. Now he'll have a hard job to stay in there, but that is fantastic for his chances for next season. The Jordan's lineup still unannounced. This is the start. Bertrand Gachot just pulls to the right, drives past everyone, and gets himself momentarily up into fifth place. Absolutely fantastic for the Jordan driver. But this is Prost up the inside there of Gachot. It was only a matter of time. It really took a few corners for Prost to get himself back past the Jordan, and Mansell will be hoping to do something very similar in the next few corners. He won't want to get stuck behind the Ford-powered Jordan. And is that him trying to move up the inside into the Ascari chicane? It is from a fair distance back there from Mansell. He's not been as ruthless as his usual self this season. He says he's looking forward to a nice active car next season that Williams are massively working on. He will have his eye. He will have himself up against Ayrton Senna next season. So he'll need to find something, and probably something before the end of the season, really, if he's to stake his claim early doors. But that's Mansell up into 6th place, and that's the Jordan ahead of the 2 Benettons, which will be itching to get past. And this is Berger on game, and I told you this wouldn't be the last time we saw of him. And Berger is trying to move around the outside, and he's passed before the corner. I'm not sure if anything happened. Oh, game all out of sorts, heading into the set. He had to cut across the grass. Is that going to allow Prost through? No, it's not going to allow Prost through. But Berger now up into 3rd, and that is massive for the World Championship. But we ride on board the game now, and he's got Gerhard Berger in front of him. And is that a mistake from Berger there? He was out wide, and this is going to allow a slipstream. But that Honda power in that McLaren is absolutely fantastic. Not really much the Williams can do in terms of that. We know they go for downforce more than power, and this is not a track that really sets itself up for anything too grand when it comes to that. But the running is Senna still leads with the Lacey Berger game. Prost, Mansell in 6th, taking the 1 championship point. Gasho still 7th, ahead of Nannini and Patrese. Now Nannini and Patrese are technically battling it out for that 2nd Benetton seat. So it'll be interesting to see who gets signs on the dotted line for 1992. But game is all over the back of Gerhard Berger. It must have been a mistake in the turn 1 to allow Berger through so easily, because game is, he's been on the back of him since. But he's not close enough to try and move into the Ascari chicane, but he'll set himself up nicely. You'll see what he's got to be opportunistic, I think, with the speed and the power of that. McLaren is through. Berger makes a mistake, and game is straight through. He'd been running wide a few times out of that corner as Gerhard Berger, and it's caught him out this time. But the speed as we head down the main straight in all but 2 seconds, is that going to allow the McLaren straight back past? But a good exit from the Williams has given him some breathing room, but that slipstream is going to be, it might be too much for him. But here comes Gerhard Berger, and they're alongside, well, they're almost alongside each other. They are alongside each other now, and is Game going to get the car stopped? Oh, the brakes nearly touch. Oh, that looked close. That looked close from the McLaren on the back of the Williams, and that looked incredibly close. But Game now up into 3rd place, and I think he's got the pace on Berger today. So I'll be surprised, without no faults or issues, I could see him staying in 3rd place. But this is how close it came to Berger taking out. Ooh. That would have been catastrophic. More so for Berger. But the 2 Benettons, they're still not past. They are still not past this Jordan. But is that Nannini or Patrese? It's one of them, they're off. Patrese round. That's not Patrese round. That was Nannini. Round nearly. And that's dropped him back into the clutches of the Minardi of, I believe, Pierluigi Martini. I could be wrong, it could be the other one. But they're going to run down to the 2nd chicane. Is Patrese going to try and move? He's going to chuck one up the inside. They've touched. And that's flung Nannini into the air. And it's spun Riccardo Patrese round. And I believe Riccardo Patrese seems to have come off worse. There was no move on there. Absolutely no move on there. And Nannini has somehow lost out to Pierluigi Martini in what can only be described as a race from hell for the Benetton team. None of them doing themselves any favours for a seat for 1992. And he's now lost out to the Minardi and the Jordan of Michael Schumacher, watching the car he'll be driving next season, tumbling down the order. But this is Game, and we believe a Lacey is coming to the pit, and he has. You can see in the right, Jean Lacey, the first to blink, the first to come into the pits. And is that going to be a positive for him? He was only about 1.5 seconds behind Senna when he entered the pit lane. So is he trying an undercut on the Brazilian of Ayrton Senna? Oh, he got all out of sorts. It's Nannini again. I thought it was a replay. And it's Nannini all out of sorts. And that has allowed Michael Schumacher past the Benetton. And he is, I can imagine Nannini getting a bit of a seething later on when he gets back to that garage. I should imagine he'll be still out there after the race, but it's game's in the pits, a lap after Jean Alesi. He's straight into his pit box, hit the marks. Williams have massively improved their pit stops over the coming races, and he's out. He is out. Where is he going to come out into? He's out ahead of Alesi. He's jumped Alesi. Must have had an awful outlap, but Game has jumped Alesi, putting him into a net second place in this Grand Prix, and that will sting Gerhard Berger even more, who is Senna in. It's Senna into the pits, and he's going to come down the pit lane, slows for his mechanics to do some work, but Berger stays out, Prost stays out, and they come hurtling towards turn 1. But it'll be interesting to see. Right, so Senna's out, and he's cleared the Williams and Ferrari with, well, quite a lot. Actually, he's 5.5 seconds clear, and Alesi's now 2 back from the Williams of Game, and that's really not gone well for Alesi there. He had good pace in the first stint of this Grand Prix. He's clearly had a terrible outlap, but here comes Prost and here comes Berger. They need this to go well. Berger cannot really afford to lose out to Prost here, and Mansell stayed out. You may have seen it in the bottom, and that's Game coming past, so he's cleared by a considerable margin. And is Alesi even going to get past his teammate here? Alesi could drop to 6th, and I believe Alesi's momentum will allow him to stand. He's barged past. He's like, you're not here next season, this is my team now. And we don't even know who's replacing Alain Prost at Ferrari for night 2. But we come to start the final lap of this Grand Prix. It's been fairly quiet, I say, and Mansell's come out. He did try and get to the end on no stops, but just didn't have enough fuel to get to the end, and that's allowed both Ferraris through. It was a good idea. He's got to try something else. He's not getting on with the car, so he has to be trying something new, something different. But it's a low, and Berger's obviously got himself up in the 3rd, so that's massively helped Gerhard Berger for a little bit of damage limitation here this weekend. But like we said at the start of the programme, he really needs to be beating Game a few races in a row. But here we see Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian, the McLaren driver, the soon-to-be Williams driver, the one-time world champion, struggled last year, struggled at the start of this year, but he's really finding form, and he wins the Italian Grand Prix to put his claim to this world championship. Game will come home in 2nd place, Berger in 3rd, Alesi 4th, Prost 5th, and Mansell comes home in 6th to take the final point. But Senna wins the Italian Grand Prix of 1991, taking all 10 points and propelling himself into what he is absolutely sure of, a championship challenge. But we have the final classification there confirmed. Senna wins the Grand Prix with Game in 2nd place. Berger, Alesi, Prost, Mansell taking the final point. Bertrand Gachot, I should say, absolutely fantastic to finish in 7th place with Morbidelli and Schumacher behind him. Nannini down in 10th. It's not been a great day for the Benetton team. Though that's the top 10. It's been a disappointing day for the Benetton team. We'll say that one more time. And the championship is as follows. Game now extending his championship lead now to 14 points ahead of Gerhard Berger, with Jean Alesi not too far behind. And Senna's win, putting him on 37, sits him 19 points, I should say, behind. Prost slipping away from it, and Mansell is still not in double digits. Ooh, not a great season there for the Brit. But Game now 14 points ahead, and with only a handful of Grand Prix remaining, he may have this wrapped up before the end of the season. But Alesi and Senna look keen. But if you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and join us next time for UF1.